So, welcome to All Things Grants, the Smarty Grants Blab. I'm Joe Miller, owner of Smarty Grants and founder of Grant Chat. I'm also the owner of J. Miller and Associates, also known as JM Grants, strategy, social media, and grants for do-gooders. Today on All Things Grants, we'll be talking about all things grants, including beyond words, grant design. Michelle Loftus is here with me. Michelle, can you please introduce yourself and share a few of our logistical matters?
Definitely. Thank you, Joe. I'm Michelle Loftus. I'm an associate of JM Grants and owner of Arcadia Grants. And a couple of points we just wanted to go over before we began. We are recording this and invite you to join in the discussion through either the chat feed or to jump in on the video portion. To do that, if you want to join the video chat, just click on the join button and either Joe or I will open up a seat for you. Also, if you have a question at any time, we'd love to take your questions. And so the way you register that is in the chat feed, click the / which is the button next to the shift key, and then a small Q, and then type in your question. And that will just register it as a question so we can make sure we get it answered. Finally, the hands below each of our beautiful pictures are clapping hands, and those are to show props. So if you like what somebody's saying or want to show your appreciation, just click on the little hand. That's it. Back to you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I am simply thrilled to introduce our guest today. Our guest is a community developer, a marketing director, a nonprofit leader, and a theater aficionado. So with that kind of combination, you can bet that she's pretty darn creative, expressive, and thoughtful in how she tells a story and gets her message across. She's also a grant professional. So she's here today to share some of her excellent tips and tools, including great design for your grant efforts. So our Grant Chat community knows her as Nonprofit Becky. And so we'd love to welcome our friend, Becky Jeskoff. Oh, see, I said it earlier.
That's Kobiak.
She'll tell you her last name. And Becky,
Kobiak.
We're so glad to have you here with us today.
I am honored to be here. I am super excited to share whatever today.
Yay. Well, we had a lot of great questions on the chat. So, Becky, I love all the creative hats you wear, including the one behind you, which you can tell us a little story about that in a minute.
Sure.
Can you tell us about how you became a grant professional and also a marketing director? You know, how did that lead into becoming a grant professional, and how does your experience in the theater impact you as a nonprofit leader?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, so I started as a marketing director straight out of college, marketing communications, and then worked the way up to being a marketing director. And at some point we decided we wanted to do a project that we didn't have funds for. And so I did some research and I found this grant and I said, I think I can do this. So I'm just going to be naive and jump right in and try this. And amazingly, it was funded. And I think about that now and I'm like, wow.
How did we do that?
Thank goodness, because now it is my profession. But yeah, so I fell into it and then went and got my MBA and made some other connections. And along the way said, what I really like about grant writing is that you do get to be creative in a very scientific way.
Absolutely. Great points. I think we saw a lot of that in our chat today on Grant Chat with some of the questions and answers that we had. So, Becky, do you have any examples that you can share with us and show us on ways that you have added design and creativity into your grants?
Sure. I'm going to try to do this old school and hold it up to my video camera. So we'll see how this looks. So here's an example that I used. This was a foundation that is a family foundation, and I wanted them to see their impact on kids specifically. So the whole front page, minus the little caption here, is the kids that they're supporting. This is an ongoing grant. So, you know, it's helpful that they already had some background. But then I just used, again, a big photo, but I like to put space between my paragraphs. when we get the blog going, I talk about that in there. And then here another example. This is a little more design heavy. This is a very branded type document for our organization, you know, with our logo and our colors and our font choices and everything else. It's also very formulaic. It's very easy to change out the copy and swap a new photo in here and make it very easy to go. And then I use the second page for the ask. So this is all the information about what we're actually asking for, and then just a quick bullet point list of how they can be involved.
That is wonderful. And so I don't know, you know, if you'll be able to share those documents in their entirety with us, but we would love to have those. We can put them as an attachment to our podcast and to the blog.
Yeah, there may be some black boxes on it, but you get the idea.
That's fine. That's fine. And that'll give people a really great idea on how to make it making your appeal more appealing.
Absolutely.
So that is, I love those. And as a grant, there have been times where I've done grant reviewing, and we've had, so for instance, the United Way grants, a lot of those are form. You have no room for pictures or anything else, but you can submit a little packet sometimes. Sometimes you can have that and make enough for all the reviewers. And those are fun. Those are fun to get into, to see the pictures. It is fun as a reviewer, I think, to break it up a little bit away from the monotony, and it does help the heartstrings get pulled, and you stand out a little bit more. And for me, I'm a visual person, and those pictures help me remember who's applying and what they do, and yeah, it grabs me.
Yes, especially when you're allowed to not be anonymous as to who you are. It's really helpful.
Yes, that's a great point. And I think with a lot of federal grants, they make it so that you are anonymous.
Yeah.
And so you don't have that element of people, that you don't have that human element anymore. You are strictly something to be scored on paper, like a test. The little bubbles. I'm surprised we're not at that point yet.
Scantron.
Exactly. So Michelle, we have a question here. Could you read that for us, please?
We do. Okay, Becky, do you use a standard font for your reports and your proposals? If so, what is it? Have you changed?
Yes, we, I'll give you the actual name. Let me go over here. Hold on one second. Come on, open.
Yeah, and there are a lot of funders that require a specific font. So many federal funders will require
Times New Roman. Yeah,
I hate
Times New Roman. The font that I use is called Fira Sans.
Oh,
which
I love
means
sans.
It is a sans serif font. It comes with about 15 different varieties. So it's got bold, it's got italic, it's got condensed, it's got extended. It's got all the varieties built into it that already work together.
Ah, wonderful.
Comic Sans. Oh my goodness. Please no. Mm-mm.
And I think when we first were able to make choices with fonts, and we had some of those things come out in Word, when Word allowed us to do more formatting, people thought that having that Comic Sans for grants about kids was a good idea. No, it's never a good idea. Walk away. Walk away.
Run.
We have another question from Ruth Ann. Can you read that, please, Michelle?
I can. Ruth Ann asks, Becky, your work is specifically with children, not with children as part of families. Have you ever had any negative experiences with pictures of just children?
Not really. I mean, we do a lot with family foundations, and I think they're probably more open than other organizations to families or to pictures of kids. One of our fields specifically, we have to show pictures of the teachers or pictures of Americans that are going down to visit, and we show the kids from the back. So you'll see a full classroom with the teacher up front. but not the kids' faces. But that's only in one of our fields that has that restriction.
Okay. How do you go about, are there any legalities around the usage of pictures of kids? And what do you do?
Yeah, we definitely use permission-based things. Part of when a child is registered into, say, one of our schools, as an example, there's a release that the parents sign as part of it, because they know that so much of our funding comes from grants and even just regular individual donors. They want to see how they're being impacted. But when we don't have those, we tend to show either just large groups of kids where you can't really focus in on any one individually. So yeah.
Do we have other questions from the chat, Michelle, that
we do? Let me bring some over. What do you think about using videos in grant applications? That was kind of a topic during the chat we just had.
There is one specific funder that I write to that includes, as part of the form, a place to put a video link. And there are specifically qualified, has to be less than 3 minutes, and it has to be on YouTube. It can't be on your own site. It has to be out there. I know that the reviewers look at them because I look at the numbers and I see that, and I'm like, okay, so you're the only one with this link. Therefore, I know that you have seen it, and I feel like there are times when, especially in that one, that they tend to only watch the video and not read in depth the other stuff, and so I use it to my advantage.
Well, and then we do. Smarty Grants does training on social media and grants and the correlation between getting more grants and social media. I love that example. So at some point in time, I'm probably going to interview you on that specifically and bring that over into some of our training, because I think that that's a really, really good example about how funders are using social media to get to know their grantees. And it's fascinating that they say, don't put it on your website, which is what many boards and other folks that want to control what's happening. They're like, we're not going to put it out on YouTube. Oh no, but YouTube is now mainstream. And so making sure that you are using what's considered mainstream tools. I mean, if EPA and CDC and HUD can have YouTube channels for their training, then certainly nonprofits can, and we need to listen to that. Great point. A little different than the design within the grant application, but they all feed into more success, more money, more programs, and more connection and relationships with those funders.
Yeah,
that is great.
We just on that note, we partnered with a local community college for the video production class that came in and actually filmed a whole lot of coverage for us, and then we go back to them each semester and say, okay, now we need to showcase this part or this part or this part, and they edit it down to the 3 minutes that we need.
Well, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful time. So they're getting experience.
Yes.
You're getting the products you need. Yes. Love it. Love it. Yes. Erica says, sweet. We have another question. Actually, lots of these are photograph questions. So here we go. In your experience, do funders take well the photos of their money at work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Typically working for grant.
Yeah, I think every funder wants to know that their funds are being used as we've told them they're going to be used. Sometimes that's a chart. Sometimes it's a receipt. Sometimes it's a picture of a building being put up. And, the building may not be an exciting photo, but they see, look, you put a roof on. That's what you said you were going to do. So, yeah.
That's great. And, Ruth brought up that she had to submit a picture of a truck. And what was fun, and we were all on a phone call. For those of you that have been guests on the chat, you know that in the background we're on a conference call with our guest, and we were all trying to track that whole side conversation about the one photo about the truck. But it made me think of times that we've submitted. I was thinking I don't really submit pictures very often, but we've had to submit things for buildings, for equipment. We had a large freezer that we were getting for a food shelf, and we had to submit a lot of drawings and pictures for that, and why we needed a particular model or brand, which was more expensive, but it was the design of the building. And to show that, there was no, it would have taken us forever to explain it in words, but just showing it in a simple picture was so very much easier for us and much easier for the funder to understand. We have another question. Michelle.
We do. Are funders using computer scanners to read the applications the way human resource reads and scans job applications? Any thoughts or ideas?
I don't know the answer to that. I would be interested, because I feel like it would change the way I design some things and not use words over photos, because they wouldn't get picked up in a scanner like that. But I don't know the answer to that.
Anybody know in the group, the chat on the side, anybody have experience?
You know,
if you do, hop on in.
Yeah, click join. We haven't had that experience on our team, that things have been scanned. And, it brings up a great point. Those of us that work on website SEO and are on social media and use hashtags, and it's become part of our thought process to think about those keywords. And I think that we would have a huge advantage if that were to happen. But I also write it as if the funder has keywords and they have jargon, which Ross brought up in our chat, if they have jargon that they're using consistently throughout their narrative, throughout their grant application, or their RFP, I'm going to put that into my grant and make sure that I'm using their keywords.
Right.
So Erica says she doesn't think that foundations do. Yeah. And we have an agreement on speak their language, even if it does have a little jargon in it.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So I think we have a couple of other questions. We had one about human-centered design.
Yes, that was the next one up. What is it?
IDEO is a prime example of human-centered design. And human-centered design looks at how humans interact with a product or information or whatever. And the best example I can give you is traditionally a shopping cart. We're all used to the metal shopping cart that's with a big basket and a tray under the bottom, and a very unsafe place to put your kid in the front part of the basket. Well, IDEO took to saying, how should we redesign this? And now you see shopping carts around that have, little kids' cars with a handle on top that, are easier to push, and plastic carts that are, shorter in design that are easier access for people who are maybe mobility challenged, that kind of thing. IDEO is the creator of the mouse, and how our hand actually functions in a way that controls something. So, I mean, human-centered design is going to be the next topic in the next 10 years on everybody's radar.
And how does that relate to grant designs or designs for the applications?
I think we're going to see lots more movement toward things like video and things where you submit a chart online and they analyze it through their system rather than on a piece of paper and setting it next to another piece of paper. I think it will also play into how electronic applications are put together and either more streamlined or just, when you go into a form and it says you have 500 words, but the box is only about an inch, and you can't read
Right.
all of your words at the same time, that's going to change.
Excellent.
It will be a welcome change.
There may be, I may have a tear after that.
Exactly.
Excellent. Excellent.
Are there any questions from the chat community?
Come join
Yes.
us.
Yeah.
Come join us. Click the join button. It's really, really easy. Just if you have a headset, it's better to have a headset on so that we don't get any echo. All you have to do is click join. At least just come on and wave at us. We are talking about human design right now, I guess, human-centered design. We're talking about, beyond words, how can we enhance our grant applications? How can we enhance our grant process and our reports? I do believe that that human-centered design and doing things that increase our accessibility is really, really important. In the middle part of that, we have our grant application, we have our reports. What about during the grant? I'm finding that getting my clients on board with using devices out in the field for all of their forms and things. So people can just sign their documents, they can scan paychecks if those are the kinds of things that they need, and many of our clients need to provide those things. They aren't going to get to a copier and make a copy of it. They aren't going to get to the mailbox. And so having something that when you're out in the field, you can easily get everything there and then it sets the program up for success. It makes it so much easier on the folks that are out in the field, and it makes it easier on our clients as well. So I think looking at how we're interacting with our clients is especially important right now, because we're going to do a better job. There's also a lot of research out there about using tools like social media and YouTube and everything else to connect to people and to do more education, that we're finding health-centered interventions are really successful using various types of social media, and that many of the folks that we're serving out there with our grant programs are using mobile devices as opposed to computers or their TV to get their information. So I feel like there's a huge shift both within the grant application for our grant programs, and then for that reporting and capturing data and doing the evaluation of the program. So nobody has requested to get on the hot seat, Erica. You could come in and say hi if you'd like. We are...
So here's a little tool that I enjoy using. Okay, so here's an example. So this is a Word document. These are the smart art things that you can insert, and I use this to show a timeline of what happens in their funding. So this is a 5-year grant, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in here I have just a 2-word description of what happens in the first year and the second year, and then I put, in this year, this, and this. This happens to be funding amounts for these specific things, but just a way of taking a chart or a list and jazzing it up a little.
That's a great idea. And like somebody said in our chat, that it does help break up the whole page and gives the reader something else to do. And it does set you apart. Ruth says she has dogs behaving poorly, so she's not going to hop on. We have another question here. I think I'll just take this, Michelle. So what is your #1 design tip that we can implement immediately and make our grant application stand out? You just gave us a great example. I know you have many. And then what tools do you use that you think are, for those of us that aren't necessarily Photoshop savvy, what are some great tools that you use that make it easy to get some of these things inside of our grants and our reports?
Yeah, I think, Canva that you hooked me onto, Joe, is a great tool. And if you're not familiar with it, it is designed to help you create images that work across social media, but they also work in paper as well. So what is designed as a Facebook post size can be a great drop-in call out, a pull quote or something like that on a document. If you're not design background,
Savvy.
use Microsoft Publisher and use one of the formats that's already in there. It's the same idea as using a Weebly or a WordPress website where you've got the template, just start filling it in, and it's already pre-designed.
That's nice. And just FYI, there are also Google templates out there.
Yes,
People from all over the world just, Google templates. I know it's a little repetitive, but there are people all over the world that have, kind of donated their expertise and their abilities. And many of them leave all of their information, so it's not just a template. You can get an excellent example on different types of proposals or whatever type of document that you're using. That's a great resource as well. Canva did just add a paid version. Canva's free if you use your own images. They also have other parts of it that are free. You can create your own. You can go free. All of our grant chat and Smarty Grants and everything else is done in Canva. And we just got the professional version, which does allow you to create your own brand in the background.
Nice.
And my favorite thing that they've added recently is the magic button. Have you seen that?
I did see that. I was like, oh.
It is. It is a magic button. So if you create something in Twitter or in the Twitter size format, and you're like, well, you know what, we'd really like to have this on our Facebook page or on our website or on our Instagram account. And rather than having to go back and forth and reformat it and everything, it has a magic button, and you can choose. It reminded me of like when you go to those travel websites and you can choose, 5 different travel websites. It kind of says, okay, which format do you want? And then it opens up 5 or 6 tabs if that's what you choose. It opens up all those tabs and you get all your document that you spent all that time creating in the different formats. So it is magic. I have no idea how they did it. Talk about, the human element there, making it easy for us. It's well thought out.
That's right.
Apple's pages are similar to Word, and they have templates as well. That
Absolutely.
Bethany has added that in here.
Back to your original question, Joe. I think white space is completely underrated and should be used more, because you can avoid graphic elements entirely if you make it easy to read by putting information in chunks and blocks and leaving space. And, if it takes 3 pages, but it's really only 2 pages worth of text, but you give breathing space, it's a whole lot easier to read and therefore easier to fund.
Exactly. So, I don't know about you guys, but the more that I do work in my WordPress site, the more that I use social media, I feel like a lot of the things that apply to those parts of my life also apply to my grants. And I think that people who are used to reading websites, which is all of us now, who used to reading websites, are on social media, expect the grant to be in that kind of format. Does that make sense? Do you find it easier to add those elements into your grants, or kind of intuitive now that you add those elements because of the other pieces that you're working on in your life?
Yeah, especially in my role, half of my hat is a grant writer and half my hat is a major donor proposal writer. And so whatever I've created for a major donor, whether it's a photo or a story, is certainly easier to drop into a grant application once it's already made. Reuse. It's like recycling.
Yes, it is. Now you brought up a good point again, hats. And behind you, there is a hat. If you lean a little bit, it'll look like it's on. There you go.
That's right. Almost made.
So tell us about that crown.
Okay, so it's a Burger King crown, but it is set there so that when and what I have handwritten on it is when I walk in my office, it says, "Have I treated others like royalty today?" And that's my philosophy is, treat others even better than I would want to be treated. So.
Love it.
There we go. Well, I think on that note, if anybody has any questions, we're happy to answer them. I love that. Have you treated others like royalty? And, Becky, you are Grant Chat royalty.
Aww.
You are. You're very supportive. We love you. Your Grant Chat family, everyone on here is, and we can't thank you enough for being on here as our guest.
Well, I
for
feel
answering
like
these questions.
it is the best professional development out there.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. We that's what we want it to be. I'm just reading all the. Thank you guys. We want it to serve our community and connect our community. And many of us that are in the grant profession can feel very alone, and we don't want to go around venting to everyone we're serving, and we don't want to. It's sometimes it's difficult to get the good new ideas, or to even think that maybe we're on the right track. Like adding graphics to your grant. I don't know if that's right or not. It just might be my quirky what I want to do. But finding that, here are the tools to use. Here are the do's and don'ts that other people are using. Here's what they're finding. Feedback from funders can be really, really helpful. So this is a great example of why we want Grant Chat to last for a long time, and why the community is the most important part of Grant Chat. It's not that Grant Chat's there. It's everybody,
contributing, collaboration. That's the thing we miss as being a grant writer, is living in this little bubble that's just us. But collaboration is so beautiful.
It is. And isn't it ironic that our whole job is to talk about collaboration and to get everyone else to collaborate, and often we don't have the opportunity. Yeah, exactly. Well, if there aren't any questions and nobody wants to jump on board, I'm just going to say, wow. First of all, what Ruth said, there were so many great quotes and things. We have bumper stickers galore that we need to create and bring to the conference this November. Great ideas, great tools. I can't wait to dig into so many of the suggestions that people have about different apps and tools and things. Becky, thank you for being our guest on All Things Grants. Our motto is to help do-gooders do good great. And you are one of our favorite do-gooders. And I hear the clicking. Oh, thank you. And you not only do good work, you do great work. And we love your examples, or we wouldn't have you on as our guest. We love your examples. But you also create a message that is clear and that looks fantastic, and you're willing to share it with everybody else. So thank you very much for being on the chat today. Thank you, Michelle, for all of your work in the background. And I appreciate everything that you guys do here in the chat, our Grant Chat community, our All Things Grant audience, and our guest today, Becky.